A legendary hero rides again, but this time he's not quite what you'd expect. When danger threatens the innocent, a masked swordsman emerges from the shadows, but when fate intervenes and our hero is sidelined, an unexpected replacement steps in. One who brings a whole new meaning to the family legacy. With flair, flamboyance, and a whole lot of attitude, this new masked avenger proves that justice isn't just about skill with a sword. It's about confidence, charm, and a wardrobe that turns heads. Hello to all the classic people. I'm glad you're returning. I want to welcome any new visitors and let you know that there will be spoilers ahead. Today on Classic Movie Review, we are taking on Zorro, the Gay Blade, 1981. This is a movie that could not be made today as America has lost the ability to laugh at themselves. Zorro, the Gay Blade, 1981 reinvents the legendary masked hero with a comedic twist. When Don Diego Vega takes on the mantle of Zorro to protect the oppressed, an unexpected injury forces him to pass the sword to his flamboyant twin brother, Ramon, who has rebranded himself as Bunny Wigglesworth. With outrageous costumes, clever wit, and daring swordplay, this film parodies Zorro's adventures while celebrating individuality and humor. Directed by Peter Medak and starring George Hamilton in multiple roles, this campy comedy remains a cult classic for its blend of satire, action, and charm. The movie's rated a decent 6.2 on IMDb.com. On RottenTomatoes.com, the film has a 50% on the tomato meter and a good 72% on the popcorn/audience score. Great film critic Roger Ebert did not care for the spoof, only giving it 2 of 4 stars. In a January 1st, 1981 review, he said in part, quote, "This movie is, of course, intended as a comedy, and it has some funny moments, but it's just not successful. And I think the reason is that Hamilton never for a second played Zorro as if he were really playing Zorro. We could laugh at the previous movie Zorros because they were so serious about their ridiculous codes and vows and pledges of loyalty and chivalric passions. They were funny as long as they played it straight. But when a movie sets out to create a funny Zorro, they bring coal to Newcastle. By playing every scene for laughs, Hamilton had nothing to play against." Unquote. I'm usually in line with Ebert, not so much this time. Actors. The always great Brenda Vaccaro played Florinda, the chronically undersexed wife of Esteban. Vaccaro was first covered in the space adventure Capricorn 1, 1977. Tan Man, George Hamilton played several roles, including Zorro, Don Diego Vega, and Bunny Wigglesworth. Hamilton was first covered in the vampire spoof Love at First Bite 1979. Funny Man Ron Liebman played military officer Esteban. Liebman was born in 1937 in New York City. He began studying at Ohio's Wesleyan University in 1954. He studied acting and was in an improv group that trained Ed Asner, Ann Mira, and Jerry Stiller. He was in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts class of 1958. He also trained at the New York Actors Studio. His Broadway debut was in 1963. Liebman became a well-respected writer and actor. His movies include Norma Rae 1979, Zorro the Gay Blade 1981, and Garden State 2004. He had a television show called Kaz from 1978 to 79. Liebman won a Tony for stage work in 1993. He was also on the faculty at the New School for Drama in New York City. He was married twice to actresses Jessica Walter and Linda Lavin. Liebman died in 2019. Lauren Hutton played the role of 3 named social activists, Charlotte, Taylor, Wilson. This lovely Southern belle was born in Charleston in 1943. Hutton graduated high school in 1961. She attended the University of South Florida, but transferred to Tulane University, graduating in 1964. She is also an alumnus of Stella Adler's Studio of Acting. Tall and beautiful with a large gap in her teeth, Hutton worked as a model for Revlon Cosmetics and the Ford Modeling Agency. She played an important role in Paperline 1968, a football tryout based on a true story. Hutton continued to work in films of the quality of Gator 1976 and Viva Knievel 1977 until the next decade when she made a big splash in American Gigolo 1980. Her modeling career ended in the 80s. She continued in film, having a good one now and then, such as Zorro the Gay Blade 1981, Once Bitten 1985, a vampiric comedy in the same vein as Love at First Bite 1979, which starred George Hamilton, and 54 1998. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and leave a review where you get the show. It really helps us get found. Story. The hero from The Mark of Zorro 1940 is shown in clips from the earlier movie. However, his exploits from the 1840s have faded from history. Now, 50 years later, Don Diego Vega, George Hamilton, is living the life of a wealthy rake in the Spanish capital city of Madrid. The problems of California seem to be in another world as he romances Dolores, Carolyn Seymour. Suddenly, Garcia, Clive Revel, Gloria's husband, enters the room, only having pretended to travel to Barcelona. A master swordsman, Don Diego Vega can easily hold off the single cockleded man. Garcia's 5 brothers arrive to join in the sword fight. While still handling the sword fight, Don Diego calls for his mute servant, Paco, Donovan Scott. Paco uses signs to read a letter to Don Diego while he continues to fight. The letter is from Don Diego's father, bidding him to return home. Don Diego and Paco jump from the second story into a waiting carriage. He tells the driver to take him to Los Angeles, California. Sometime later, Diego and Paco arrive in the pueblo of Los Angeles. Diego is disappointed that no one has come to greet him. A carriage arrives carrying Esteban, Ron Liebman. The two men glare at each other. After a tense moment, Esteban, who is now a captain, and Diego greet each other as childhood friends. The carriage door opens and Esteban's wife, Brenda Vaquero, hollers for her husband. She is smitten with her childhood friend Diego. Esteban is jealous of Diego as both he and his wife complain about the marriage. Esteban delivers the news that he is acting alcalde as Diego's father was killed in a terrible horse/turtle accident.
Your father, I'm sorry to say, had a terrible accident.
Accident?
See, he was out riding when his horse was frightened by a turtle.
Una tortuga.
See, the horse reared, your father was thrown, and died soon after.
Esteban says the turtle has been executed as Diego leaves for his hacienda. A placard shows that Dons, landowners, meet to elect a new alcalde. They do a funny bit as the Dons are introduced. Most are named after a California city and state that they are from another California town. It goes as follows: Don Diego from San Fernando, Don Francisco from San Jose, Don Fernando from San Diego, Don Jose from San Bernardino, and finally, Don Luis Obispo from Bakersfield. Spent a night in Bakersfield once. Esteban lobbies for his election as alcalde. He shows a peasant being broken on a wheel for being short on his taxes. The Dons quickly elect Esteban. Diego is a little concerned. Esteban already has the village assembled for his inauguration speech.
I must tell you from my heart, this comes as a complete shock.
The people are assembled for your inauguration. Excellency.
He immediately calls for higher taxes. From a newly arrived stagecoach, Charlotte Taylor Wilson, Lauren Hutton, from Boston, begins telling the people to throw off their oppressive leadership and be free like the 13 colonies have done in the East. Esteban is not happy. Diego is taken by the lovely revolutionary. Diego and Charlotte are on different sides.
Thank you. I'm Charlotte Taylor Wilson. I'm with the People's Independence Committee.
Don Diego Vega. I'm with the greedy bloodsuckers.
Diego discerns that she is very wealthy because she has 3 names.
And you smell it. Besotted perfumes, not that ship oil.
Ship oil? You mean the oil from boats?
No, ship oil from the ships in the fleet.
What ships? in the field.
The little, bababas?
Oh, you mean sheep?
Yes, that is what I said.
Paco takes Charlotte to stay in the church. Diego is hanging out at his villa and tells Paco how he feels about Charlotte. Then Diego gets an invitation to a costume ball at the alcalde's home. A small woman brings in a coffin and says it is from Diego's father and concerns his destiny.
Puro Consuelo, you didn't have to come up all those stairs and carry that to me. Let me take it.
Inside the coffin is Zorro's cape, hat, sword, and a mask. There's also a reward poster for the bandit. Near the whip, inside is a note from the late Don Diego addressed to his two sons. It says that the father was Zorro, the great hero of the people and bandit to the alcalde. The son who receives this letter is to assume the mantle of Zorro. Diego decides to wear the Zorro costume to the party. Paco dresses in a woolly bear costume. Diego hurts his feelings, saying he looks like a pig. Wearing their costumes, Diego and Paco ride horses to the party. They hear a peasant calling for help. The peasant has just had his money taken by Velasquez, James Booth, who appears to be a highwayman. Booth is the actor who played the sick call rat, Private Henry Hook, in the great war film Zulu 1964. After talking to the peasant, Zorro and Paco chase down Velasquez and relieve him of the money after a long sword fight. Paco arrives and Velasquez begs for mercy from Zorro's hideous dog.
Oh, mercy, senor. I beg your mercy from your flashing blade and... Oh my God. And from your hideous dog.
Zorro decides to spare Velasquez if he will spread the word that Zorro has returned. Zorro carves a Z into a tree, but has to explain its meaning to Velasquez. Zorro and Paco return the money to the peasant. The peasant tells that Velasquez is the alcalde's tax collector. Zorro carves a Z on the door of the peasant's house. The man thinks it's the number 2, like how they taught his granddaughter in school. When Zorro and Paco arrive at the party, Charlotte is outside preaching revolution. He protects her from some soldiers and escorts her inside. The guards think Paco is a beaver. Inside the party, Florinda and Charlotte have cross words. Florinda latches onto Diego in his Zorro costume. The peasant from earlier is outside telling everyone that Zorro has returned. Velasquez tells Esteban about the encounter with Zorro. He then sees Zorro and points him out to Esteban. Esteban pulls his sword on Zorro. The two men fight a duel on the dance floor. Zorro disarms Esteban, but the troops are ordered to attack. Zorro fights on the stairs and swings from ropes. When the doors are opened, the peasants outside are calling Zorro's name. He escapes by jumping off a high wall, but injures his ankle during the landing.
I feel I must take my leave.
Esteban sees that he is injured and hatches a plan to capture Zorro. At his home, Diego is nursing his injury.
Now I must take my leave. What, you stupid? I could have told you you're not gonna make that jump, but no, you gotta be a hero.
He hears Florinda outside as she climbs a ladder into his bedroom.
Paradise. Diego, I'm coming up. You bad boy.
She cries and wants to make love to Diego. She says she and Esteban only make love 12 times a year. Diego says once a month is not that bad. She comes back with no, 12 times in one night and nothing for the rest of the year. Diego wants to know if Esteban eats something special on these nights. Esteban arrives with his men to determine if Diego is the injured Zorro. Florinda hides in the Zorro coffin. Esteban makes Diego stomp on his injured foot to prove he is not Zorro. Esteban is convinced by Diego's acting as he hides the pain. While Diego heals, Esteban carries out reprisals on the people. For 3 weeks, the terrors continue. Diego is still out of commission when a man in a British naval uniform arrives. The man is wearing a cocked hat and has an umbrella for shade. When he is shown closely, It is George Hamilton in white powdered makeup and with a very posh British accent. After a moment, he reveals that he and Diego are old womb mates, and he is his twin brother, Ramon.
Know me? Sink me!
We were once roommates.
Roommates? Ramon!
Ramon was sent away 20 years earlier to the British Royal Navy so he could become a tougher man. Ramon now goes by the name Bunny Wigglesworth. Bunny is told that their father has passed. Diego lets Bunny read the note about becoming Zorro. Bunny says he doesn't fence, but he's really good with a whip. Bunny reluctantly takes on the mantle of Zorro. They have to teach him how to speak with an accent before he is ready. Bunny creates the name Zorro the Gay Blade. Just like the scene in The Mark of Zorro 1940, Velasquez is in a building collecting taxes when Zorro drops in behind him. Bunny has changed the color of the Zorro outfit to plum and added tassels to the hat. He uses the whip and takes the money before writing out the word Zorro on the wall with his whip.
He wore what?
Plum.
He wore a fruit?
No, Excellency. He was dressed entirely in plum. Everything matched. And he talked differently from the first time he robbed me.
Yeah?
He sounded like a...
Later, a Don reports to Esteban that he has been robbed by a Zorro wearing yellow like a banana. Another Don tells that he was robbed by Zorro wearing green like an avocado. Another Don reports he was wearing red like a rose. Yet another reports green like a salad. Esteban thinks the colors are a message of some type. He says any stolen taxes must be replaced by the aggrieved person. The Dons begin to lose faith in their alcalde. Zorro is seen wearing a silky black outfit. Bunny Zorro gives money to Charlotte while he is wearing an orange tinted outfit. She tries to put the moves on him, but Zorro suggests they go shopping for clothes together. Remember that the Zorro from the Mark of Zorro 1940 used this bit on the alcalde's wife. Charlotte declares her love, but Bunny Zorro leaves. Charlotte doesn't like Diego because he is the landowner. Esteban visits Diego and reveals that he will be shooting one peasant a day until Zorro surrenders. Esteban is still suspicious of Diego. Esteban makes Diego hiss like a sissy boy and swish around.
Swing your hips.
Vaya! Swing your hips. Vaya!
Ha ha! Good! Now flap your ribs.
Love your ribs.
And now say your naughty evil alcalde.
Your naughty evil alcalde.
Suddenly, Esteban sees Bunny Zorro in the garden. Diego convinces Esteban that it is a priest named Ramon. When Esteban questions the orange outfit, Bunny Zorro says he is a follower, Peter the dressmaker, the tailor of Christ. Esteban has Bunny pray that he meet Zorro. Bunny Zorro steals Esteban's horse and gold. Florinda wants to have a costume ball to celebrate her new necklace. Esteban agrees, believing that Zorro will try to steal the jewels. Esteban dresses as Henry VIII. He places 4 guards around his wife. Diego walks in wearing the Zorro outfit. Esteban has him arrested and can't believe that Diego is Zorro. Diego says that he was instructed to wear the outfit to the party. Then, one Don after another arrives dressed as Zorro. The party fills up with all Zorros. At the ball, Diego is accompanied by Bunny, who is in drag and using the name Margarita Wigglesworth from Santa Barbara.
You may call me anything you wish, my large blonde dove. Come. Let us dance.
Esteban is taken with Margarita and begins calling her Wiggy as they dance. Diego talks to Florinda, even though she is surrounded by 4 guards. Margarita spills wine on Florinda and steals the necklace from her. Esteban sees the necklace is gone and freaks out. A Z is written in lipstick on the mirror. Sometime later, Bunny is back in his Royal British Navy uniform. He tells Diego that his ship sails in 2 days and Esteban can ride him in care of the Royal Navy but only if he's serious about their relationship. He gives Diego the necklace to deliver to Charlotte. Charlotte is still trying to spark a revolution when Diego arrives in the Zorro outfit. He places the necklace around her neck. They get all kissy-faced and she calls him Diego. She said she thought there were two of them and she had known it from the beginning. A child warns that soldiers are coming and Zorro flees. A spy has watched the pair together and takes word to the alcalde. Paco overhears the conversation. Esteban has the spy locked up as a reward. Paco takes the information back to Diego. Esteban stages an execution of Charlotte to draw Zorro into a trap. As time draws near, Esteban asks the priest to pray that Zorro will be delivered to him soon. When he drops a coin into the priest's hand, he sees it as Zorro's gloved hand. Zorro disguised himself as a priest in the Mark of Zorro 1940. Zorro holds a knife to Esteban's throat, but the alcalde will not stop the execution. Zorro surrenders in exchange for Charlotte's life. The crowd is beginning to side with Zorro, and he asks to not be publicly unmasked. They prepare to execute Zorro. Suddenly, Bunny Zorro reveals himself atop a high wall and calls for the people to help Zorro. Bunny is wearing a gold outfit.
2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits a peso. All for Zorro! Stand up and say so!
Charlotte and the peasants join the fight against the alcalde. Everyone abandons Esteban, including Florinda. Bunny waves goodbye to Diego and Charlotte as he leaves. The pair discuss their wedding plans as they ride away. She wants him to give up his land to the people and to live in Boston, where the music is better. I like to think she's referring to the bands Aerosmith and Boston. Conclusion: this movie is a riot. Some of the jokes are very over the top, but it's really funny. Sadly, a film like this can't be made today. I wanted to address the elephant in the room, making fun of accents, like when Diego would say ships for sheep and pipples for people. I choose to use the Trevor Noah rule. His rule goes as follows: if a country has been an empire, you can mock their accent. So England, Spain, France, China, Russia, and Germany are fine to mimic. This film pays tribute to the older Zorro films. As I said earlier, it gives a nod to director Robin Mamoulian and the Mark of Zorro 1940. The music for Zorro's action scenes were all taken from Adventures of Don Juan 1948, which starred Errol Flynn. Of course, Errol Flynn often played sword-wielding swashbucklers, just not Zorro. Bunny Zorro wore a plum, a yellow, a green, a red, silky black, orange, and gold Zorro outfits. At one point, Bunny Zorro states that it is no crime to be poor, only to dress poorly. This is one of 2 spoof films Hamilton starred in 79 and 81. The other film is one I covered very early on, and it's just as funny as today's film. The movie is Love at First Bite, 1979, the story of a vampire evicted from his Romanian castle by the local Communist Party so it could be converted into a gymnastic training camp. Hamilton rocked a black cape in both of these spoofs. World famous short summary: leave the black outfit for Johnny Cash. As a technical note, references and citations are listed for each show on the site at classicmovierev.com. Thanks for listening and commenting. Beware the Moors. In just a second, some boxes will be coming up. One is a movie review that I highly recommend for you. The other is a playlist of related films.